What's up? It's Penny Well, the Black Pen. I wrote a tweet on the 19th of August 2023. I posted it at 10:30 in the evening. But to be honest, I've been working on this thing for a couple of days. I'm going to read this tweet for you. And I'd obviously like to hear some of your thoughts because on Twitter, a lot of people share their thoughts. As I'm posting this, which is on the as I'm recording this on the 21st of August, 21st or 22nd. I think it's the 22nd of August. It's got 110,000 views on Twitter. What's this? Wait, let me just check something. Go back down, you. 110,000 views, 154 retweets, and 582 likes, 283 comments. My main requests for the political party that wants me to vote for them or campaign for them in 2024 in South Africa. I wrote a list. So my list initially had something like 25 points, and then I cut it down to 15. And to be honest, I was looking for like 10 and maybe even 5. In my tweet, I split like my top 10, and then I added like another 5 to make it 15. And a lot of people were upset by my request, and it's fine. I am privileged. I was born in a township in Deporting in Newcastle to a building inspector, Zwelake Phineas Mlotshwa, who came from a township called Deporting in Howick in the Midlands, and a teacher, mother, who comes from Ewuvukeni township, which was more rural when she was growing up, near Ladysmith in KwaZulu-Natal as well. My father was a building inspector until I was in grade 6, which was standard 4 at the time. Then he quit and he lived off my mom and some of his girlfriends. My mother was a school teacher for the longest time in my life. At some point, she became a deputy principal. She quit being a deputy principal and then she opted for an easier life as a Zulu teacher now that I've moved it to Johannesburg. I'm privileged because my parents afforded me a decent quality of life. At the age of 5, we moved to the suburbs in Arbor Park in Newcastle. We lived there for a couple of years, and then in 1998 we moved to Central, which is slightly lonelier. Again, mostly my mom's money as a school teacher, raising myself, my brother, and my sister. We went to very decent ex-Model C schools with the majority of white kids. My brother and I matriculated at Newcastle High School, where we were both deputy head boys. I was under the portfolio of sport. He was under the portfolio of culture. My sister matriculated as a prefect at Ferrum High School, also in Newcastle. We managed to go to tertiary. I was at Rhodes University. For my undergrad, I was at the University of Johannesburg for my honors in accounting. My brother was at Rhodes University, did his PGCA after studying psychology, and he worked in teaching. He's in media now. My sister went to UJ, where she studied sociology. She's currently doing her master's in sociology. I think also aesthetically, we are decent looking, whatever society deems that to be. So people are kinder to us. We speak very good English. Some of us could speak really good Afrikaans back in the day. We played rugby, my brother and I. He also played hockey, field hockey. My sister played field hockey as well. We sang in choirs, school choirs, provincial choirs. We traveled around KZN, around the country with sports, with athletics. My brother was an amazing athlete. He's still super fast to this day. With choir, with debating. We were given leadership positions. We got to tertiary and we were liked by a lot of kids. Sports, culture, academics, and just our ability to socialize. And because of that, we've been able to get into spaces that other people can't get into. We live a decent life. We live in the northern suburbs of Johannesburg. We get to enjoy a quality of life that very few people get to enjoy. We've been overseas. We've traveled around the country. We've slept in great hotels. We get to eat at amazing restaurants. Our children are quite privileged. Some are overseas. Some are studying at the most expensive schools in the country. My children's mothers are from really great families. They have great support systems. They have amazing jobs. So I am privileged. I cannot speak on behalf of the poor masses, to be honest. I lived in the township for 5 years. I did not live in an informal settlement, in a squatter camp. I did not grow up in the township fully. I did not struggle at school. I did not have a poor quality of education. I did not have to walk many kilometers to school. We walked 1.5 kilometers from home to school. Didn't have to catch a lot of public transport, didn't have to struggle with money, even though my mom was hustling. Besides being a school teacher, she was selling second-hand clothing. She was selling juices at some point. She got into some of these network marketing things. She was selling at weddings. She'd sell ice cream and cigarettes. She was hustling, And when I got to varsity, I also became somewhat of a hustler. My brother tried at some point, being a loan shark, pushing T-shirts, being a bartender. I sold Boerewors rolls with Uzamani Nxumalo back in the day, sold T-shirts as well, hosted events with my Rhodes mates. We had the Black Business Forum and all these things. But I am privileged. So when you hear some of my wishes, please remember that. Because one of the things I've come to learn is some of us middle class, upper middle class South Africans, in particular the black ones, we seem to want to vote on behalf of other people. And it doesn't make sense because those people don't consider us. So the poor masses generally, sadly, want freebies. Or that's what they've been conditioned to believe they deserve. And they're entitled to, I want an RDP, free house. I want an increase in the child grant. They go, they have sex, they have the kids, and then government must give them money for their kids. Free healthcare, free schooling where the kids get fed, and so many other free things. As the middle class, black, white, Indian, colored, we have unique struggles. Some of it is arguably being overtaxed. I mean, you might look at 18% to 45% tax. But to be honest, we get taxed more than that because 15% VAT on purchases. School fees is a form of tax. Your fuel levy, of which when you look at the combination, it's about 70% of how much you pay for fuel actually goes to the government in one way or another. So you might find that at toll gates, fines, etc., you might find that in your salary, 60% of your money actually goes to tax. So we are overtaxed, the middle class. The rich are taxed, but a lot of them find intelligent ways to get the middle class to pay, or they set up certain companies, certain non-profit organizations, certain trusts to try and avoid as much tax as possible, because evading tax is illegal. Tax avoidance is legal if you follow certain prescriptions. So please remember that. With that being said, outside of my privilege, I do understand the struggles. A big bulk of my extended family on my mother's side, on my father's side, are poor people. They live in townships. Few of them live in informal settlements and squatter camps. A big chunk of them, their children survive on child grants, 490 Rand from SASSA. A lot of them are earning the social relief for distress, the 350 Rand. A lot of them survive on food parcels and feeding schemes. Their children study for free. They get free healthcare if they need to get medicine and the like. So I understand. They live, some of them, in RDP houses. I have a soft spot for the majority of our people. But as I grow and I explore the world and I see how society is meant to be set up, I realize the danger of constantly wanting to give people free things instead of being a strict but loving parent and giving them tough love and saying you will educate yourself, you will learn skills, you will work hard, and you will add value to this economy so that we can all thrive together. And sadly, the ANC government has created a country that is basically socialist. We've got 60 million citizens in this country, according to Stats SA. 29.1 million, close to 30 million of them are receiving at least one grant. At least. Child grant, chunk of the kids, small percentage, I think only 9% of people are over the age of 60 or 65. They get an old age grant. Then you've got this new 350 Rand grant. There's a veterans grant. I think refugees in this country earn a grant, etc., etc. It's psychologically destructive. So I'm giving you this backstory to try and, before you get angry, understand where some of these things are coming from. And I'll try and explain them a little bit. Number one, install free Wi-Fi across South Africa. This is one of those where people are like, oh my gosh, you're speaking from privilege. People are poor and you want Wi-Fi. I'd like to think almost all of us agree that education is the beginning and the end of liberation, mental liberation, and the ability to do. Once you have been educated, not schooled. School is an institution where you go, you get fed these things passively, and then you must regurgitate them in tests and exams, and you get a mark. 30% is the pass mark in South Africa. That's schooling. Education is acquiring knowledge. acquiring. From there, you're meant to process the knowledge and hopefully implement the knowledge that you have. Acquire, process, implement. But you need to acquire it. And I believe that the internet has become a game changer in the world we live in. YouTube as a platform, Wikipedia as a platform, Google as a search engine, the Khan Academy, Coursera, so many platforms online educate people that are willing to learn. Educate. And if we were to install free Wi-Fi across South Africa, people will have access to as much information as is possible in the world. There is almost no content you will get in a school, in a primary school, a high school, or a tertiary institution that you cannot find on the internet. You want to study to be an engineer, you want to study to be an actuarial scientist, you want to study to be an information systems technician, you want to study to be anything. That information can be found on the internet if you go to certain sites. Of course, you'll have to process, you might need to do some practicals and implement, but the information is there. Now, some people might be like, yeah, but people use free Wi-Fi for porn and those things, of course. And if you've got great leadership, you will make sure that we are giving you free Wi-Fi, but we are going to limit, there's going to be a long list of all these websites that you will not be able to access because we love you and we're giving you free Wi-Fi so that you can learn, so that you can contribute to the economy, so that you can find online global markets. The number of people that have made money from Alibaba, the number of people that have made money teaching English as a foreign language using their phones and the internet, the number of people that are selling goods, the number of people that are creating networks, connections overseas, all because of the internet. And if we were to give free Wi-Fi to all South Africans and tailor-make the sites they can go to, I think it would be a great game changer. So free Wi-Fi is a big one. And it speaks to my self-interest directly because I create content on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc. So I will be able to access more people and we will be able to compete with mainstream and we'll be able to compete globally. The South African internet space is underutilized because a very small percentage of people actually have proper internet access. The internet penetration is low and we want to increase it. Number 2, lower crime and make areas safe. It's pretty straightforward. Lower crime and make areas safe. Our economy will boom if tourists come here and they know that it's safe. Having traveled the world, being in a country like South Korea, where you do not have to stress about someone pickpocketing you, about someone hijacking your car, it gives you peace of mind and it allows you to focus on other more important things. And it allows tourists to come in because like this is safe. When tourists come into South Africa, they need to be warned. Be careful, this is a hijacking hotspot. Be careful, people get mugged here. Some of them get mugged. Some of them get involved in serious crimes. Why would they want to come back to a traumatic place? So we need to lower crime, and part of that is increasing policing and police visibility. Part of it is fixing the criminal justice system, making sure that criminals get punished properly and those that can be rehabilitated can be rehabilitated. So we need to lower crime and make areas safe. This is very important for me. Number 3, overhaul the schooling system and focus on skills development, farming and manufacturing. A lot of the content in our schooling system is garbage, absolute garbage. A child leaves with a matric certificate, grade 12, their national senior certificate. Children leave with a tertiary qualification, whether a diploma or a degree or a postgraduate degree, and they cannot plant a potato. They cannot plant a carrot. They cannot look after a goat or a chicken. They cannot slaughter. They do not know how to cook a meal. They do not know how to chop down a tree and take that wood and turn it into a bench or a piece of furniture. They do not know how to shear a sheep's wool, get the fleece and turn that into a jersey. Or to plant cotton and take cotton and processes and turn it into a material so they can make clothing. We do not know how to build huts. We do not know how to build houses, how to make blocks, bricks. We are schooled but functionally uneducated and useless. That's why we have such high youth unemployment, 72 to 74%. The kids have got schooling, but their education is nowhere. That's why they are as useless as someone who's got no arms, no legs, deaf, dumb, mute. Without government giving them free money, without their parents taking care of them, these people can't do anything. Because after 12 years of schooling, after another 3 to 5 years of tertiary education, they are functionally useless unless a company puts them in front of a laptop and tells them, go and do that, and we'll pay you a salary at the end of the month. That is shocking. So we need to overhaul the schooling system and focus on skills development, teaching children how to do plumbing, how to do electrical engineering work, teaching children how to farm and just grow basic food in a bucket, in an ice cream container, in a tire, growing basic food, how to breed chickens for eggs, for chicken meat, how to breed goats and sheep and cows. Basic, basic, basic. How to manufacture things, how to make furniture, how to fix cell phones, how to fix cars, how to create clothing. Basic skills so that children do not go hungry because they have the ability to feed themselves and house themselves and be functional human beings. We need to overhaul the schooling system. That was number 3. Number 4, of course, end load shedding and cut off all non-payers. This was another one where people went at me. Yeah, but people can't afford electricity. If they can't afford electricity, they should not have electricity. You can get angry. You can tell me that the ANC and others promise people. I don't care what they promised people in 1990 when they were campaigning. They cannot afford it. And you guys are putting a burden, not on the ANC. Fuck the ANC. You're putting a burden on good, hardworking, middle-class people. Your own family members who have to pay black tax, who have to pay high rent or high bond, who have to pay for their car installments and fuel that keeps going up. They also additionally have to pay extra so that you guys can get this electricity that you get either free from Eskom because there's free electricity for people that cannot afford it, or from people that are illegally connected. We need to aggressively, I don't care whether it's the ANC or the DA or the EFF or the IFP or COPE or PA or whatever, whoever is in power and is serious about building this country needs to cut off all non-payers. So then how will people have electricity? You spoke about free Wi-Fi. Let us find solutions. Let us maybe say electricity will be free up to a point for every citizen, and it will be funded by the economy. The mining industry, the textiles industry, the manufacturing industry, the retail industry, financial services. Find a way to tax those people and use that money to make sure that the country is functional. Fundamentally important, but then beyond a certain level, switch them off. All the people that are illegally connected, switch them off. If you are not being productive in your life and you're just using electricity just to fart around, switch them off. We cannot build a functioning country and economy plugging people to free things that they are not paying for, that they are legally connected to. We need to end load shedding as a matter of urgency. We have capacity in this country. It is not being reached because of mafias, because of corruption, because of incompetence. And we are not looking to bring in proper alternatives, looking into nuclear, besides the renewables of solar and wind. Empowering independent power producers are not just politically connected. Don't make it like black economic empowerment and mining. Get normal kids to go through a very basic process of this is how we can generate electricity for our neighborhood, for our home. Give these kids a little certificate and say, since you got a certificate to power up your home, you can power up a few more homes and charge them a little bit of money within reason. End load shedding and cut off all non-payers. That is my number 4. My number 5, build strong border fences and deport every foreigner without proper documents. I've said this before, it has confused a lot of people. I have no issue with illegal foreigners. I have no issue with illegal foreigners. Borders were created by human beings. Borders are no different to Bantustans in South Africa. There were people that decided from here to here, you are a different country, you are a different country. They did the same during apartheid. And it wasn't black Africans that decided, it was colonialists that decided. I have no issue with illegal immigrants at all. You're here illegally, it's your life. I have a problem with bad people. And bad people can be illegal foreigners or they can be legal citizens. A criminal can be a South African that was born here and be a criminal, a hijacker, a rapist, a murderer. But what do I have an issue with and why am I raising number 5? We need to know if we're trying to run a functioning country, functioning, that is plugged into the globe and winning. We need to know everyone that is here. Who are you? What are you? Are you a ghost? Are you a real human being? What are you doing here? Why are you here? What are you? You're probably legally connected. You might be getting RTPs. You're going around killing and raping children. Who are you? Everyone who is not documented must be deported. But you can't just deport people, but there are no fences and they keep coming in. We need strong border walls, border fences. What Trump was saying about making America great and that they're going to build a wall between them and Mexico. We need strong border fences. And every single person who is here without documents or with false documents or with fake documents must be deported. Some of them are right in front of our eyes. The Pakistani spaza shop owners. How did they get in here? Because you need at least 5 million that you invested to run a business here. There's no way all of them have done that. They are a crime in action. A lot of the Nigerian-owned hair salons, the Nigerian, Malawi, Mozambican-owned car workshops, I think I spoke about hair salon, a cell phone repair shop. Those are crimes in front of us. The police know it. The politicians know it. But they're not going to do anything about it. This person has a work permit from where? They have a business permit from where? Show us. And if they don't have the right documents, let them go. I think that's fundamentally important. Someone was saying that even the legal foreigners that are here, if they do not have a scarce skill, they must be sent back home. We shouldn't have foreigners in South Africa driving Ubers and Bolts. We should not have foreigners in South Africa doing hair or selling weaves and wigs. We shouldn't have foreigners in South Africa fixing cell phones. That's bogus. So, my number 5, build strong border fences and deport every foreigner without proper documents. My number 6, scrap social grants and scrap RDPs. But how will people survive? I do not support the idea of people getting money just for existing. But I do understand that we have a lot of poverty in this country. If you have an ID in this country and your ID has been plugged into Home Affairs and it has been plugged into the banking system, we should be able to see how much income you generate in one way or another. And even when you're buying, I think this maybe also is a point where I'd like this country to become more technologically advanced. And we need something maybe like China, where everyone is transacting with their ID, with their facial recognition, with their fingerprints. Every time you buy something, every time you get money from somewhere, it is logged somewhere technologically, so that we actually know how much income you get, whether it's a girlfriend allowance, whether it's your brother sending you money, whether it's your mom giving you money at school, whether you just hustled something, you did a little quick job somewhere and someone gave you 50 bucks. We should be able to capture that. And with this value system, you should then, with your ID, with your fingerprints, with your eyes, with your whatever, facial recognition, go into stores and we say this person is poor, they can get groceries. We can even track what groceries they get. Old people, children. Already these people have free healthcare, which means even old people, they can go to a clinic, hospital and get free meds and get free healthcare services. We can improve on that, of course, but it's there. The children have free schooling where they eat. They're already there. The schools can add things like school uniform and maybe casual wear clothing. Add that so that the kids can get their clothing at school and they get fed at school. Old people may be the same. If they go to certain shops, they can pick up groceries. They can pick up clothing. They can pick up other things that they need. And for an old person that is captured on the system, they should be able to use public transport for free anywhere they go because they're old. They do not need to be given cash. A lot of old people are given cash, and that cash is going to children it should not be going to. A lot of these old people are being bullied by their children, their grandchildren with that money. A lot of these old people are using that money to drink booze. It's a no from me. So we need to scrap grants. We need to scrap RDPs, which are free houses. Once we fix the schooling system, people should be able to build their own basic houses. They must be able to go and fetch clay and rocks and be able to put some kind of materials together and make bricks and be able to put some decent structure up. Not a shack with tiles, a decent structure. Why are you giving people free houses? It's a no from me. Of course, I'm speaking from a point of privilege, but I do believe that this is what's going to help our country move forward. And I think it's going to restore the dignity of people where they're like, yes, I get free food from a shop. Yes, I get free clothing, but it's because I add value. And if I'm not adding value or whatever value I'm taking, later on when you're 25, the system will say, we've been giving you 2 million rand of free things in this country. It is time to serve, as an example. Number 7, criminalize begging, especially the women with kids. If you've ever been to a traffic light and you see these women with little children, they're begging, your heart breaks. That's a crime. That's child abuse. That woman should have that child taken away from her. She does not deserve to have a child. And if that child is really hers, and it's not some child she stole and she's trafficking and pimping out for charity, that woman arguably because she cannot be rehabilitated potentially, maybe needs to be sterilized. Why is she breeding and having kids when she can't afford them? And what's scarier for you guys to think about is those women at those robots are probably not South African. If they were South African and they were poor, they are eligible to get a free house, an RTP house, or they can go back to wherever their family's from. Number two, their children that are there are meant to be getting a child grant, and they get free schooling and they get free healthcare. So there's a big chance that those women being at the robots are not even South African and they should be deported. And what they're doing is a crime against humanity. They are abusing children who are being burnt in the sun, sitting there, being groomed to be future beggars themselves. Some of these beggars commit crimes because when you get desperate enough and people are not giving you the money you want, you're going to commit crimes. So we need to criminalize beggars and get beggars off the streets completely. If they can't go to homes, if they can't go work, maybe put them in a prison. Prisoners have got some kind of rights. They get a uniform, they get fed, they get TV, they can get a schooling, and some of them get put to work. Rather put them in prison. Why are they on the streets? If they can't make it in this capitalist world, which is rigged and fucked up, they must go live in the wilderness or they must go live in the villages. Go fetch water from the river. Go fetch firewood. Make a fire. Breed chickens. Build a mud hut and live as what's it called? An agrarian lifestyle. Go live like we lived before white people came here with their money. Why are you in the streets digging in dustbins like a rat? Like some kind of vermin. Criminalize begging, especially the women with kids. Number 8, qualifications and or a track record of service in political leadership. In brackets, I put meritocracy. This should be a no-brainer. Everyone who is serving in politics, arguably in business, arguably in social spaces, should be there on qualification and or a track record of service. From a young age, Penol has been doing charity work. From a young age, Penol has been serving in the church. From a young age, Penol was a leader at school. He's got a track record. By the time he gets to tertiary and he wants to be an SRC president or become a member of the Student Representative Council, there's a track record of service. After he gets out of varsity and he goes into mainstream politics, we have seen a track record. This person has got a track record. They have done good work. They've solved problems here. They've helped communities there, etc., etc. It cannot be that because my father was a politician, my mother was a politician, because I'm friends with the right person, I get parachuted into positions. But no one can show a track record of where I've been serving or where I'm qualified to be a minister of energy and mineral resources. I'm qualified to be a minister of transport, to be a minister of finance. Where's my finance qualification? Where have I served to understand the money game? Where have I gone to go and help impoverished people to solve certain spaces and say this person would be the best minister of finance because we've seen how they've helped people progress in their lives. Fundamentally important, meritocracy. Shout out to Singapore and shout out to the Chinese Communist Party in China. Very big on merit. Number 9. This one's a bit controversial and I'm still sort of neither here nor there with it, but it's something that needs to be raised because it's one of the biggest political campaigning tools that is used. The land. Number 9, take over all apartheid land by force and give it back to the previous owners or allow them to sell it to the current owners at a fair price. Initially, I wrote market price, but market price is not accurate if certain people have developed this land in a way that is not normal. Fair price would be, this was your land, there's been inflation, there's been an increase in market value, etc. But maybe we need to discount some of the things that are not necessarily yours, as an example. Take the land by force obviously upsets a lot of white people, a lot of people that are for private land ownership protected by the Constitution. But we need to address the issue of the apartheid land and isolate. This was the land taken by apartheid. How do we resolve it? We've seen it. We know it. It's here. Do we tell those people, here's money, take it and move? Do we take that land by force? Does the state take over that land and tell those owners, you guys will carry on working the land, it's fine, maybe for a lease or for free, but we will tax you higher so that we can take that money and give it to the people it was taken from. It wasn't me, it was my grandfather, we understand, but you inherited something that was taken by force and that we want to resolve. At the time it was done legally, the law of the day, the apartheid government did it legally. Today we are reversing that law retrospectively and we're saying we're taking that land. It's going to be state owned. And also additionally, the black people who on that land need to be upskilled. Whether they want to use that land for agriculture, whether they want to use that land for property development, whether they want to use that land for tourism, whether they want to use that land for residential purposes. They just want to live there. That should be their prerogative. And if the land cannot be used because it has been so well developed, it's being mined, maybe there's a decent commercial farm, how do we get the black people involved in that activity? And if they're not interested, or if there's no way, how do we ensure that they get paid a fair amount so that they can go and live their life somewhere? And we can note down that you have gotten your reparations. We apologize for what the apartheid government did. You have gotten your land, or you've gotten skills, and you're working with the current owners, or we have paid you and you can go and live your life. It needs to be addressed as a matter of urgency, because until we sort out this issue of the land by the apartheid government, so many things cannot move forward in this country. So many white people, innocent white people, are going to keep getting blamed for things they're not responsible for. So many political leaders are still going to maliciously and mischievously use the land issue to get votes when they are not serious about dealing with the land issue. And if my suggestion is not working, let's sit down and find a better suggestion. Let's sit down with the biggest landowners and be like, guys, let's go and find the black people that were dispossessed. Let's have a meeting with them. What can you guys give them? A bit of give and take. Let them lease the land. Let them live on the land. Get them to join programs where they become farm workers, and maybe they buy off a piece of the land over time. Whatever makes sense. And then number 10 in my top 10, very controversial. I think this was the one that upset people the most, and I don't even think they engaged it the way that I wanted them to. Charge 40% VAT, value-added tax, on all purchases and scrap all other taxes. We have got 15% VAT. It was 14% for the longest time. And our VAT is not charged on a big bulk of the basic goods: bread, maize meal, rice, noodles, cooking oil, fruits and vegetables. There are a lot of goods in this country. It's a list. You can go online and search. There's a list of goods that don't attract VAT. They get VATed at 0%, or they're just not VATed at all. They don't attract VAT. I'm saying all goods should attract a 40%. People are like, but poor people are now going to... Yes, I'm saying poor people must pay for VAT as well. But I'm saying scrap all other taxes. Corporate income tax for companies, personal income tax for individuals, the fuel levy, all other weird taxes. Get rid of them. Just be like, no one is paying tax anymore, but every purchase you buy, the government will take 40% of that. Thank you very much. This will ensure fairness. The people that earn a lot of money and spend a lot of money are going to get charged 40%. We no longer have now the sliding scale everyone pays. People are like, yeah, but some people are not going to spend money. If they don't spend money, that's fine. That money has to sit in a bank or whatever. It's going to be used to stimulate the economy in one or other way. And they will realize at some point that I need to spend this money. I will need to spend this money. 40% VAT. Maybe 40% is not the figure, maybe another. And look, the tax part, because I hate taxes, by the way, I think they are criminal. I think they theft. If you look at the Hong Kong model, can maybe look at that and say, look, all land is state-owned. The state will give land to people to live fairly, sure. I mean, 1%, if not 1.5% of our land is for residential purposes, such a small percentage. Big chunk of it is for farming. So the state will give people residential, almost like tribal land, where you get permission to occupy. If you don't use it, it's taken and it's given to someone who needs it. All businesses that are going to operate must register, and then they must pay a lease amount to the state. And then the state collects money in that way. Let all the land be state-owned. People get given residential land, permission to occupy, and then all the businesses, local, foreign, have to pay rent to the state. And in Hong Kong, the rent is high. A rent so that the government collects their money in that way. For people that are generating money, to say, okay, we're now collecting money. That could be another option. So that's my top 10, man. Free Wi-Fi, low crime, change the schooling system and focus on skills development, end load shedding, build strong borders and deport foreigners without proper documents, scrap social grants and RTPs, criminalize begging, meritocracy in political leadership and in other spheres of society, take over apartheid land and then give it back to the previous owners, or make sure that they sell it to the current owners at a fair price. And then number 10, scrap all other taxes and charge a 40% VAT. Then the next 5, I'm just going to go through very briefly. Number 11, make sports compulsory for everyone between the age of 10 and 60. I think psychologically, mentally, spiritually, this will do a lot for the nation. Sports, and maybe I'd even argue make singing or some form of cultural service compulsory as well. It will turn our country into something magical. For the people that are disabled, for the people that are not able, they can get exemptions. That's not a problem. For everyone else, you have to play a sport, and in particular, a group sport that allows some type of physical activity. It will also make us globally competitive because we'll have so many other people engaging in sports. Number 12, invest in a top-class public transport system and goods railway network. Our Transnet rail work has been decimated by the ANC government and their business friends so that they can make money in trucking. We need to bring our railway systems back, and we need to make sure that the goods, commodities, retail goods, manufactured goods are being moved on train. Good trains, they must be upgraded. Not only must we bring back our railway network, we must expand it, and we must make it world-class. Invest in top-class public transport, that is trams, that is passenger trains, that is buses, etc. The taxi industry is it's not public transport, it's private transport. We need to scrap taxis as far as we can and try and absorb as many of the taxi drivers as possible and absorb as many of the taxi owners as possible into executive positions where they earn a good income to make sure that public transport is working. Number 13, set up borders around, very controversial. I've raised this before and I've been attacked for it before. Set up borders around major cities and deport all unemployed people born elsewhere back to their hometowns. So after we've gotten rid of illegal foreigners, we're going to have the next issue, which is people from the villages and small towns who are overpopulated in the cities. And they're going to be the next wave of people that are committing crimes, that are desperate, that are setting up squatter camps and informal settlements. We need to send all those people back home. Of course, we need to have a plan of how do we industrialize the villages? How do we industrialize small towns? How do we incentivize certain big businesses to say, please go set up a factory there. Please go set up an office there. Give them some type of incentives, but we need to work on overpopulation in the major cities because it doesn't allow for great service delivery and it doesn't allow us to even develop the rest of the nation the way we should. It would be great to be able to travel and live anywhere in South Africa and know that it is all developed. So set up borders around major cities and send all unemployed people that were born elsewhere back to the hometowns. They can come and visit, of course, if they've got a permit. If they're getting a job interview, if they're coming to work, of course, they can come and settle here. Otherwise, they must leave. Otherwise, we are overcrowded and it becomes very difficult to spread out resources around the country. And the villages and towns never get to develop anyways. Number 14, compulsory military training and community service for everyone over the age of 16. 1 hour a week, each and every one of us should walk around our neighborhoods. If there is dirt, pick up that dirt. If we see something broken, report it to your local ward councillor, to your mayor in our WhatsApp group. Guys, there's a leaking pipe here. Guys, there's a fence that's broken here. Can be mended. Guys, I see some people loitering there. I'm not sure who they are. Pick up the dirt. Do some basic neighborhood watch. Community service. 1 hour a week, go to your local school. Go and volunteer to coach children. Go and volunteer to tutor children maths, science. Go and teach children how to play the piano, etc. We all need to engage in compulsory community service and log it and make sure that it's being uploaded to a system where they can see, especially the poorest people, are you cleaning up your neighborhood so that you actually deserve those free groceries you're getting? Old man, old woman, are you maybe babysitting young kids, babies, as a form of giving back and adding value to the community? And then military training is important because we want to have people in this country that can defend this country from other people that are taking chances. Rugby is a really good space, sending kids to shooting ranges, sending children to camps, boot camps, etc., hiking, so that the children can be built to be strong. And then basic things, learning how to fight, self-defense, of course, learning how to shoot a gun and the like. Compulsory military training. There will be exceptions, but for everyone else, it's needed. And then number 15, very controversial, needs a very serious conversation. Sell all state-owned enterprises, SOEs, to the private sector, these are parastatals, and heavily regulate all key industries. Let government focus on governing. Let them focus on policies and send all business work to the business guys. Government should not be involved in business. I know the capitalists will love this one, but you guys will be heavily regulated. That means you can't get into ESCOM and then just fire everyone. You can't get into Eskom and then just hike up the prices. No. The government who govern will say you can only price at this much. You can only make this much profit. And you need to hire this many people. But this doesn't make sense. It makes sense to us. We govern. We will have oversight on whatever it is that you're doing. But we as government will not run business. You guys are business people. You are qualified. You have experience. Run the businesses. And then we will make sure that we govern how you do these things. You will report to us, especially the key industries, technology, energy generation, transport as an example, and other things. You will feed back to us and we will make sure that you're not exploiting this nation, you're not exploiting the people, and you're not lying to us and being corrupt. So those are my 15 top requirements. A lot of people are like, there's no political party that will give you that. And you're probably right. But it's meant to open a conversation. And it's meant to challenge you, to ask you, do you know what you want? Do you have a top 3, top 5 list? We want jobs. Do you really want a job? Do you actually just want income? Do you really want income? Or do you just want a decent standard of living, a home and food? Now, if you want a home and food, do you need a job? Do you need income? Or should I maybe just teach you how to grow your own food and how to build your own house? Shift in mindset. We need to lower crime. Crime must go. Okay, let's lower crime. But what do we do to lower crime? We make sure that we get rid of illegal foreigners in our spaces. We make sure that we're getting rid of unemployed people that shouldn't be here, that should go back to wherever they came from, the villages and the towns. It requires us to do neighborhood watch and report to each other and get to know our communities. It requires us to know who is actually running business in our neighborhoods. That's how we lower crime. Let's have that conversation. Free Wi-Fi is what I want. Must it be paid for by government? Must it be paid for by business? Must we maybe tailor-make the websites? Maybe not free Wi-Fi, but can we get free access to Wikipedia? Can we get free access to YouTube so that we can maybe push for education of our people? How do we get that right? How do we make that happen? And can it pay back? Free Wi-Fi, but maybe put ads. Just like a YouTube, just like a Facebook, just like an Instagram. Be like, guys, we have free Wi-Fi for all these websites, but you will have to watch these ads because these ads pay for your free Wi-Fi. Easy. Let's do it. Other important things, load shedding. We want free energy as an example. How do we get it done? Do we need nuclear? Do we need renewables? Should we maybe say when the sun is out, all the poor people get their electricity, at least the lights switched off? Because it's like you've got light outside. Maybe to boil a few things, you can use a bit of solar, you can use it, but for everything else, we switch you off. How do we find innovations? How do we send South African children to other parts of the world to learn how to generate basic electricity and energy for their homes? How do we get them plugged into oil, gas, uranium in this country so that they can participate? These are the conversations we need to be having, and it starts with you having a mandate. These are the 5 things I want from a political party. I will find the party that will maybe give me 3 out of the 5 and I will vote for them. And then when I find political parties that are making promises, I will ask them, what have you done to fix our schooling system? What have you done to lower crime? But I'm not in power. It's fine you're not in power, but with the little bit of influence that you have, we have seen civil organizations, gift of the givers, make an impact. They're not a political party. They're not governing, but they're solving problems. Why are you struggling to solve problems, but you want us to follow you? Show us. Give us that qualification or that track record. Let's start having intelligent conversations about how we're going to govern this country, how we're going to govern our communities, how we're going to govern our families. Leading into the elections in 2024, we need better quality leadership. We need a better quality voter, and we need more active citizens in the governance of this country. I'm going to drop a link to this tweet. You can comment on this video. You can comment on the tweet as well. Let's open up these conversations. I'm going to be traveling around the country, meeting up with some of you in halls. I'm going to pay a little bit of money to come through. Let's have a chat. Let's speak about these things, political issues. Let's speak about money. Let's speak about our families. Let's speak about your problems, and then let's maybe have a juice, a tea, a coffee, a biscuit, a snack, and see how we can become the change that we want to see in the world. Penuel the Black Pen. Shaplapu.